This is Queer from the Other Side.
Your queer approach to everything from the paranormal and supernatural realms.
With no subject left unexplored.
I'm Shana, your resident witch with a talent for hunting ghosts and connecting with Earth's energy.
I'm Alexander, your in-house skeptic, with my own ghost stories and obsession with outer space. But will I ever believe?
And I'm Derek, your on-air spiritualist on a mission to awaken souls to ground their spiritual power into their physical experience, bridging heaven and earth.
Get ready to explore.
Here we go.
The show starts now.
Hello and welcome to Queer from the Other Side. My name is Intuitive Shana and I am your resident witch.
And I'm Alexander, and I'm your resident skeptic. I want to believe.
One day you might.
One day.
Honestly, you've, I think, had more experiences than almost anyone I know.
Well, it's so weird. So it was my birthday last week, this week. So I went out like many nights in a row. I end up reading my Uber drivers on the way home, and I just blurt what comes to mind. And this week I've been 100% correct about the most random stuff. And I'm like 3 sheets to the wind, so I don't even know what I'm saying. I have read these people facts that are like, nobody else knows that. And somehow I do it.
But that's sometimes how it goes, though, I think, because not that it's great to do readings inebriated, but not that that's something that we should...
Spirit, girl.
I mean, there you go. You just have the spirits within your body. But I think the lowered inhibitions kind of lowers like the weird reservations that you have of leaning into your third eye. So I have to say that there's been times when I've had one too many, and I mean, the things that come out are like spot on. So that doesn't really surprise me, but who knows, maybe you just got like an open third eye for your birthday, like, you know, here's some psychic power, sprinkle it on. Well, we have an amazing guest today. We are very lucky to have Patti Negri with us. Patti Negri is a psychic medium. She's known as the Good Witch, and she is best known for her reoccurring role in the Travel Channel and Discovery Plus's #1 show, Ghost Adventures. She is an international best-selling author. Her book, Old World Magic for the Modern World, Tips, Tricks, and Techniques to Balance, Empower, and Create a Life You Love. Her body of work also includes appearances on tons of TV shows, including MasterChef, WipeOut, America's Got Talent, so much more. She's worked with influencers, YouTubers. She's done crossover things. She has 2 podcasts of her own. She travels all over the world, all over the country. I feel like, honestly, super excited that she's actually here today. It's probably one of the only days that she's back home for a while, so it's really nice that she's even here doing this with us. I could go on and on about all of the accomplishments and things that this wonderful woman has, but let's just introduce her. Patti, welcome to the show.
That's a crowd.
Wow,
Yeah.
what a crowd.
The spirits are alive.
The spirits are alive. Wow, thank you all. No, I am honored to be here. I love you guys. You guys are great. I love what you guys do together. I love what you did at the gallery thing we did. I am thrilled to be here. So, and yes, it is my one day home.
And that was my first seance I've ever been to, by the way. We went to a seance. What city was that in?
Santa Clarita?
Yes, Santa Clarita. And it was an interesting experience because that was my very first seance.
First of many.
Yeah, I hope so.
First of many. I actually wanted to talk to you about that later.
Yeah,
I love that.
You got her. Come on, dude.
I have a very spooky agenda that is going to be filling your life now. Welcome to it.
Yay.
That was really great to be able to go and see you in action doing a gallery seance the way that you did. And I have to say, and I know I told you that night, I loved your dowsing rods. I think that dowsing rods are a fantastic tool for divination. I think they're a very easy one for people to learn about. And a lot of times that they're just like basic copper rods. But Patti had these ones that had LED lights. They changed colors. The spirits got to choose their own colors. It was fantastic.
And they really do. It's amazing how color conscious spirits are. It's like, I hate red. I hate the Red Sox. What? I'm a Yankee fan. What? Okay. Blue. Okay. It's like they have the weirdest ideas of what and why. But yeah, I love dowsing rods. I'm not good with like pendulums. Like, no, I'm not moving my hand. Oh wait, I am moving my. But you can't cheat with dowsing rods. You just the way I do it. So I mean, it's harder to cheat. So I agree with you because no matter how I am just like I can never be a tattoo artist or a surgeon. Like my hands are always shaking. Oh, me too.
So having pendulums, like, you know, it's like a weight or a charm, something on like a chain, and so you have to just hold your hands so still. And not to say that they don't work. I've seen them do some pretty amazing things, but with me, like, I'm too fidgety. I cannot sit still long enough for an accurate pendulum reading.
Yeah, me neither.
But those rods were like spot on, you know, between the yes and the no. It's like, I don't know if I want all my information out there.
Well, then just start living your life in a gray area where yes and no, I can't answer it. So let's just kind of dive in. We talked, so you do seances and you were using your intuition and just as a channel, and you are, I think you're an award-winning medium as well, right?
Yeah. I back, I don't know, over 10 years ago, there was this Times Square Press. Actually, originally I got contacted by a publishing house or something, and they literally said, we're interviewing the 10 top mediums or something. I'm like, and especially back then, I'm like, why are you calling me? And nobody knows who I am. They really didn't. They go, no, we don't mean the most famous. We don't mean the most rich. We don't mean but the ones with this kind of reputation and whatever. So I did this little interview, and it was really fun. And the publisher of this magazine, he kind of fell in love. He interviewed 10 different people, and he goes, he fell in love with them. He's a very spiritual guy. He's actually a linguist. He speaks 21 languages, most of them ancient, like ancient Sumerian. So he could talk to the Anunnaki. He's out there. But he's like, you guys need a professional organization. He goes, everybody has one. Doctors have one, plumbers have one, teachers have them, secretaries have them, because for all the legitimate ones of us, as you know, there's 100,000 scam artists and fakes and cheats and everything good and bad and in the middle. So he started American Federation of Certified Psychics and Mediums, and they ran this like international competitions and stuff and contests and stuff that everybody in the world was. So in the best astrologers, the best crystal people, the best in all the different magical arts of things. So I, like 2 or 3 or 4 years in a row that they were doing this was lucky.
Well, and I think what I like most about you and your brand and your book, and everything that you do really comes from a place of like positivity.
Yeah.
And it's a positive outlook. Like you said, you're a good witch. Everything in the book, the spells that you have in here are all for a good purpose, and they're all to enrich your lives in a positive way. And I think that really has a lot to do with people's attraction to your work.
Thank you. It's because I love people. I love humans. I mean, we're quirky, we're ridiculous, we're silly, we're stupid, but we are these amazing beings. And I see how much people like give away their power all the time. We give away our power to fear. We give away our power to other people. We give away our power to just limiting belief systems about ourselves, about everything. And so I'm really about empowerment. And my love for people, it's like, it's not good or bad or evil or go to heavens or hell. I don't believe in any of that. But it's like, you have to live in the world you create. So if I could get everything I want, and believe me, I do, with positive magic and good magic and having happy people, whatever, all around me, why would I go into a bunch of hexing and cursing and dark? Because everybody I know who does that too heavily, it's not good or bad. It's all of a sudden they're really angry all the time. And now they're really paranoid all the time. And then these things happen. You live in the world you create. If I'm going to hex you, then I live in a world where you could hex me. If I just love you, there's a better chance you're just going to love me. And it's sincere. Everything has to be authentic. But that goes back to I'm 8 years old on the inside, and I love people.
Well,
people and kitties. And, yeah.
Kitties, puppies. Let's not forget about the puppies.
No.
Dragons, even?
Dragons are my thing.
We're going to talk about that because I got to that chapter. We have an ongoing joke about dragons because I was like, wait, what? It's a thing.
It's a thing. It is a thing.
I literally wrote down to talk about dragons. Yeah. So once I saw that, I was like, oh, we have to bring this up and go into that. But I really do. I love that everything about your book was positive. It really was. All of the spells were really nice. And everything about your book was also very palatable so that anyone at any skill level can take something out of it. So there was nothing intimidating about that, which I find really, really nice because sometimes things can be really intimidating. And you've really kind of set this tone to be loving and welcoming to kind of help bring everyone together and let them know that this is something they can do. Yeah.
You don't have to call yourself a witch or a psychic or a medium or anything. Again, that's my love of people, and we can. And I think that's because how I started going back decades. I'm going back to the 80s when I first discovered the craft, and I first discovered there was an author, he's been dead since, Scott Cunningham, and his books were simple elemental magic, but I got them. I get all these fancy big books, and I'm like, I don't understand any of this, but this I could do. And it was, so my whole style is like, keep it simple.
Scott Cunningham is fantastic. I still recommend him to
I do
people
too.
constantly.
I
He's
do
wonderful.
too.
Yeah. So if any of you guys want to know more about witchcraft, you want to dive into it, yeah, Scott Cunningham, I feel like it's just timeless. It's tried and true. His stuff is fantastic. So you have a book with witchcraft and spells in it. You are definitely known within the paranormal community, and you've come and bridged both of these things together just seamlessly. Can you tell me a little bit about how those two worlds collided for you?
Yes, kicking and screaming. No, no, actually, it's always been a part of who I was. I've been doing seances literally since I was 7 or 8.
Yeah.
I was a kid. I was talking to the dead since before I went to kindergarten, and obsessed with them, but never dark or morbid. And it's who I was. And I just always had this path, but I kept it very, very private. I really did all of it. The witchy side of it, and the talk to dead people side of it, and talk to spirits. It's just because I went into production. I had a production company, and I created very corporate shows for like national banks and casinos. It's like, these people really just would not get that I dance around bonfires in a cloak, or that I talk to dead people. We'll just keep that private. But in 2008, the big corporate crash came, and corporate entertainment became a dirty word because of all the guys flying off hookers and doing whatever. It's like, that's not what we're doing. We're teaching ethics to oil men via song and dance. Never mind. But everything kind of crashed. My production company, Brain Brew Entertainment, and at the same time, reality TV was going like this. I had already had a scratch, an improv background, a producer background, and in front of camera background. So somebody called me up who knew my private life and my ability with seances, and they said, Patti, we need you to do a seance on this TV show. It's a reality show. No, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, but no, that's my private life. No, please, no, please, no, I think. And I'm looking at my completely empty calendar. I'm like, no. And finally they go, come on, we don't know anybody else. Well, what's the name of the show? And literally they go, and I had to hold back a laugh. They go, it's called Mobile Home Disaster, and it's on country music television. I'm like, who would watch that?
They even had like a Bigfoot show at one point
yeah.
too. Yeah.
And little did I know everybody would watch that, but I'm like, well, okay, just this once. I will do a seance on mobile home disaster. I went, and it was the most fulfilling day I had like almost ever. I got to do all my magical skills, my witchy skills, my medium skill. I got to help this human little girl that everybody thought was crazy because she was drawing portals on the ceiling of her motorhome. I'm like, no, there are portals on the ceiling of her motorhome. I got to help a spirit cross over that was misconfused and all this. And almost best of all, I got to help their Southern Bible Belt cast and crew open their minds a little bit to like, oh, this isn't evil, this isn't bad, and it's like, this was the funnest day ever, but no more, never going to do it again. Nope, that was fun. And it aired, I don't know, a couple months later. My very first phone call that next morning was from my biggest national client. Hi, Pay, hi. I saw you on television last night. Oh. I'm like, oh, yeah. I didn't know you were into the paranormal. Yeah? And then she got a big pause, and she's like, I love the paranormal, and proceeded to tell me her first ghost story and her first experience. And I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm out of the broom closet. I'm out of the psychic medium closet. And it was literally kicking and screaming and that one goofy little show showed the witch side and the medium side. And then it just took off. I'm like, I'm out of the closet. And then because I am sitting smack in the middle of Hollywood, I do know all of these people. I just became the person to call for everything. Paranormal, not paranormal, if they needed a psychic or they needed a medium or they needed a witch or they needed a doctor, whatever that was. Nicole Richie, this, that. So it just kicking and screaming all the way. But I stopped kicking right away, going, this is so much more fun than working with the HR department of whatever to teach, again, whatever manual through ethics jeopardy. And haven't looked back.
You know, Patti, it seems like over the last few years, pop culture has become obsessed with the paranormal. It's become obsessed with the supernatural. It's become obsessed with ghosts, UFOs. We see Ancient Aliens as one of the top shows on the History Channel. What do you think it is that's what has happened in the last few years that makes people so interested in these subjects?
I have two ideas. Number one, more and more paranormal stuff is happening because the veil is thinning. We are literally going into that age of Aquarius they sang about in the 60s. So more and more, I don't know if you do clearings and stuff, more and more unexplainable stuff is happening, more and more experiences. So that's one. It's just not going away. People are seeing aliens. But more than that is times are scary. Times have always been scary. We know that. But now times are scary with 24/7 bombardment of Instagram, Twitter, news, everything. Yeah. So traditionally, when times are scary, people go back to church. They go back to religion, go to a temple, mosque, whatever that is, because I'm scared because we might get killed by tomorrow by aliens or Russians. So they go back to their faith. That's not holding up for everybody. I can't go to that church because they don't believe in gay, whatever that is. Yeah. So that's why the rise in witchcraft, the biggest rising religion in America. That's why all the new age, all the alternative belief systems, all that. But there's still a whole group of people out there who's like, I don't want religion. I don't even want this spirituality. I'm just scared, and I want to know if we get blown up tomorrow that there's something else. They want to go on a ghost hunt. They want to become paranormal investigators. So it's like, okay, so I don't want all this religion, spirituality, but let's go to a haunted house. And then they go, and then they just find out, oh, it is real. And then oftentimes they will backdoor their way into a belief system that helps serve them, whatever it is, whether, again, finding a spiritual path or a religious path, whatever it is, going, okay, there's something there. If I get blown up. And I think that's completely what it is. It's like the new religion for people who don't want religion.
Yeah. It really is. And when I started my journey in paranormal investigations, it was kind of like this spooky, like, audio video club. Like, it was just a bunch of, like, tech nerds doing it, looking for ghosts, which was great. But even since then, we've seen how much more accepting of spiritual practices that there is. I mean, not that any of these teams or things that we would see on TV didn't have a psychic or a ghost. It was just very, very rare. And now we have things like Ghost Adventures that has Patti on regularly. It's become something that has been embraced because we keep embracing spirituality in different forms. But also, you touched on something really interesting that I think is important. There is more paranormal stuff happening right now. And I think it's because, yes, the veil is thinning, and that's absolutely part of it.
What does that mean? Like, the veil's going to disappear completely?
Maybe.
I mean, that freaks me out.
That's why everybody talks the dimensions, third dimension, the realms. Yeah. Everybody, we're going to a fifth dimension, third dimension. There's a million different philosophies about that, but
there's definitely part of that. But you know what? More people are seeking, right? It's picked up people's interest, whether it's because they're searching for deeper answers, they're thrill seekers that want to go and experience something that's going to get the adrenaline going. But once you start searching, it just opens it up more. And so I think those two things kind of feed into each other to really make a lot more paranormal experiences.
I think we're being better educated about religion. I know you talk in your book about religion. You kind of got into it for a little bit and then you got out of it. And we're finding out how religions came to be. We're finding out the actual history of a religion, not just the faith behind it. And it's making a lot of people leave that religion because we're finding out a lot of it's just man-made rules and regulations, and it has nothing to do with spirituality and faith.
No. And if you really study into it, like they took reincarnation out of Christianity in the 15th, they just did, it's about control.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's why so many of the traditional religion are about do what we say because we said so. Not where a more pagan path or Mitchie, it's like you find your truth, your truth.
Which has definitely been one of the reasons why it was squashed and poo-pooed on for so long, because so many of those paths, they encourage your own relationship with your own God.
And self-empowerment.
Yes.
And that's like your book is all about self-empowerment. So it's whether you believe or subscribe to everything in it, if it makes your life better and it helps your mental health,
go for it.
Go for it. Yeah. Even manifestation. We've talked about that often on the show. And it's like, it's such an easy practice to put into life, and it can change your whole outlook.
Completely.
So speaking of your book and things that we've talked about on the show before, let's talk about dragons. So I was so excited when I saw that there was a part about dragons in your book, because I'm like, this is another thing for Alexander to learn. So he was completely unfamiliar with the concept of dragons.
And Derek brought it up. Oh, Derek is in Europe, by the way. That's why he couldn't.
Again, in case anyone was like, where'd Derek go? He did not get abducted by an alien. He's just somewhere else.
Or one of his sexy ghosts.
Or a sexy ghost. Didn't he say he sleeps with dragons too?
I think so.
I think,
yeah.
Okay.
But when he first talked about dragons, I thought he was kidding. And I laughed. And it's like, no, it's a whole culture.
Yeah, dragons have been around absolutely forever. Every culture, the Asian dragon, Chinese dragon, medieval dragon. If you look at them for the energy that they are, whether or not you believe they're fire-breathing beasts or not, if you look at what they are, look at angels. Everybody believes in angels. Angels are up here. Angels are this high vibration. Angels are dextral. They don't have a sinstral side. Dextral is all they could do is anything holy and right. Sinstral, the word sin actually comes from sinstral, but it doesn't mean like the Judeo-Christian, you're doing something wrong. It means shift. But angels, I wouldn't go to some angel going, get me a good job or a good lover or a good this or that, because they do two things. They enlighten and protect, because they're dextral. That's their good thing, enlighten and protect. But dragons, again, around forever, dragons can fly between heaven and earth. Think about it. And they live therefore at the crossroads. And as we know in magic, crossroads is where magic happens. Crossroads, like even if you're on a one-way street, you go this way, and then you turn around and you go that way. And you go this way, and then you go, as soon as you get to an intersection, you have all these options. So dragons are crossroads beasts, whether they're the spirit of, you believe they're a real otherworldly being, or the energy of dragon. And as soon as you bring that power, now you've got a really good working spirit, worker bee for you. Different than your regular spirit guides, different than your deities. It's a whole different elemental, and dragons come in every form. Since I've been teaching people how to do, I don't care their religion, it doesn't matter, their belief system. Since I've been teaching people how to work with dragons, I've seen them, literally the dragon stop abusive relationships. This one woman, she was in an abusive relationship. She was stuck. It happens. It does. Money, children, and all that. And he literally abused her a certain way every day. Nothing she could do or say would make him stop. She charged her dragon. She breathed life into her dragon. She feeds her dragon. We could talk. But she went home. He did it again. But then she realized she had not told her dragon she did not like that. It's a servitor. We're creating our own spirit there. He's never done it to her again. But she had to tell the dragon. It's not like it's some god or deity or spirit guide. She had to say, I don't like this, and he's never done it again. My biggest publicized one is, we're in LA Dodgers. Several years ago, the LA Dodgers had won like 20 games in a row. I'm making up the number, 20 games in a row. And then Sports Illustrated magazine did a special on them. They said, best team ever, and put them on the cover. They tanked. They lost like 20 games in a row. Now, sports people don't use the word spiritual or magical. They use the word superstitious.
Sounds like the evil eye to me.
But they go, it's the curse. It's the Sports Illustrated curse. Somewhere down the line, probably self-created, an athlete or a team, got on the cover of Sports Illustrated and they tanked, and then it happened again, and then a curse is born. So I was called in by nobody who would go talk to a witch or a medium or a psychic. Everybody from LA Talk Radio, Fred Rogan, Rodney Peete, Vic the Brick, LA Dodgers. So we're doing my little Lebanon crossing spell, which is your classic, basic, old Southern conjure. That we charge this little baby blue, 30-cent dragon, and we're chanting into the dragon. And they won. They won the World Series. And we made LA news, which was really cool. We made LA news, but we made ESPN national news. Wow. And it was pretty funny, though, because this was like, okay, and here's what the crazy people in Los Angeles are doing. But we won. I don't know if they're still feeding their dragon. I have not kept up with all of that. But the most magical one, how powerful dragons are. They're as powerful as you let them be. My dragon might be in a little 30-cent plastic, but he is the size of Los Angeles or the planet. But this one girl, I always say, if you travel, you could leave your dragon home, and it doesn't have to eat. They drink. It's not going to starve. It's like lighting a candle in church or temple. You're not going to eat this week. Or the lid of a water bottle is the best thing to feed them with. Or take it with you to anybody else. It's your kid's toy. But she left her dragon at home and said, take care of my family at home and take care of me and my girlfriends for Girlfriend's Vegas weekend. So they went to Girlfriend's Vegas weekend, and big concert, 2-day concert. First day went great. Second day, She grabbed her 2 girlfriends and she said, my dragon said we have to leave right now. And they're like, are you crazy with what we paid for these tickets and whoever's on stage or some? And she's like, and she goes, what do you mean you have a dragon? Your kids have dragons. She literally dragged them out seconds later. That massacre at Mandalay Bay where the guy fishbowled into the audience right where they were standing.
Wow.
And she said, my dragon had a voice. My dragon had an outside voice. So your dragon might sound like they're from Jersey or sound like whatever. Or it may just be that inner voice like, I should call my mom. I should turn left here. Hey, your creation, but the power of that dragon energy, all its forms is just, you've got a secret weapon. Have you charged your dragon yet?
No, I'm
gonna have to get you
I think
one.
this weekend we're going to do a little dragon diving.
I should have brought you some. I mean, any metaphysical store you can get. Everybody has dragons, but I get these insanely probably China little plastic ones that really do cost less than $1 each. I buy them at 50 at a time, and I give them to everybody. And I always say you could change your dragon and get it a new vessel. You don't have to change your dragon. Get a fancier crystal one or a fancier thing, but. Everybody needs a dragon. You will see.
I have a dragon statue that's outside my front door, and I laughed when you said, your dragon could have a Jersey accent, because when I met my dragon, I'm like, what's your name? And the only thing I heard was bagel. I'm like, what? Bagel? Okay.
My dragon would probably be obsessed with carbs, too.
See, okay. Yours can be Stromboli. They'll be best friends.
Now, Patti, in your mind, where do dragons come from? Where do angels come from? Do you believe in a higher being? What is the source of this magic?
I think everything is energy. Everything is energy. I think we have teeny tiny pea brains as humans to understand any of it. And I think my best belief system is almost that of the ancient Sumerians. I study religion, philosophy, a science. And what the ancient Sumerians believed is kind of more like the Matrix, kind of you went to your afterlife, you believed it. You went to if you believe in pearly gates, you're going to figure out pearly gates. If you believe in you great consciousness, I think we are energy. Nothing does. Science has proven that. And everything has a spirit, like the spirit of this microphone, the spirit of our, I think all of that. And I think it's very close to Matrix is what I get. Where do they come from? I don't know. I don't know. Chicken, egg, chicken. I don't believe in one, especially big male, whatever, evil God that wants to smite people. I think God's here. I'm God. You're God. You guys are God. We are all God. But I work with all sorts of other deities as well. I'll work with anybody's gods. Work with. I don't worship under anybody, actually. I'm not that kind of devotee, but there's a lot of help out there. Maybe they're all aliens. I don't know. My friend, Maximilien de Lafayette, he had me do the one with the ancient languages. He gave me, with me doing seances for decades, he gave me all these Sumerian languages, and very much it's sacred geometry, these grids and all this stuff like people do. And I was doing it. I was with an actress, a well-known actress in my backyard, and he had me do these words and these chants. And all of a sudden, the thing that appeared in my backyard wasn't your typical ghost. It wasn't an elemental. It was like this, hello, hi, you're a whole new being. Because I haven't found where like ghosty things and elementals and guides will go to the same gathering as the ET. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's a different. And then, so we did it again with a group of 8 different really accomplished mediums. All were part of members of that federation, that nonprofit we did. You had to test so hard to get in. So he gave us all these words, and we were around my dining room table like a normal seance. All of a sudden, we started almost like Beetlejuice, weird body movements, weird up and down, weird things, weird tones, and these little these weird tones, and then one person started doing that, like you've seen a million times, the New Ager channeling, and this, and then this thing laid its big arm across my table. The weirdest thing I have ever experienced. Again, you're not a ghost, you're not a dragon, you're not an elemental, you're a whole otherworldly being. Maybe they're angels, maybe they're aliens, maybe they're all of the above. I don't know. I love not knowing everything. I love studying everything. I want to learn everything, and I hope we never learn everything.
I think there's always going to be something new to learn, always. As you're saying that, I'm like, today so many people have cameras in their house. I'm like, I wish that there was camera footage of whatever that was that went down.
I do too.
Right?
Yes, I do too. And we're lucky. We do capture weird things on camera now all the time. Because I have a school and I teach on Zoom, my little university. And I just have a new book coming out on haunted dolls, just announced by Llewellyn, Haunted Dolls and Magical Puppets. Haunted dolls from a witchy perspective and how to create your own when you need it, and puppets for spell casting.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be good. They just showed me the cover. It's so pretty.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. But I have my haunted doll, Belle. She was sent to me because somebody saw me do a seance with Peggy the doll, with Zach Bagans, and she figured if I could handle Peggy, I could handle Belle, who had made her sick for 3 years, her hair fall out. And I'm like, yeah, send her to me. I don't have enough hair. But I knew I would be fine. But Belle is haunted, and she's beautiful. I did all this clearing with her. But I have this other doll that somebody sent me, and I go, this is not haunted. This does not have a spirit in it. And her name is Cheryl, because my friend who sent her to me, his name's Cheryl. So it's Cheryl the doll. She was sitting next to me on my desk, and I was teaching a class, I think on like paranormal protection or something. All of a sudden, Cheryl moves about 6 inches like this, right across my desk. Both my hands were up here, so I couldn't. There was nobody in the house. I didn't even notice it because I'm staring into the Zoom camera. But all my students noticed it. But that was not a haunted doll. But I blew it up. And literally, I saw orb come out of my bookcase into the doll, move the doll, and then left the doll. So it might have been from my doll, Belle. I don't know. So it's like we're getting all sorts of stuff on camera these days.
Haunted dolls are so interesting. I have one. I have Stephanie. I had another one for a minute. Stephanie had a roommate. They didn't get along.
Well, Stephanie has a big personality.
Yeah, so Stephanie evicted Catherine was her name. So now Catherine lives in Lancaster, of all places. I had to go rehome her to one of my friends. I'm like, Stephanie won't let Catherine stay in the house. But funny. Catherine, she was this porcelain doll, but her face would change. Like if you looked like sometimes she would look happy, sometimes she'd just look, whatever, and then sometimes she'd look angry. Mm-hmm. And I felt really bad because she lived in the linen closet with all the towels and sheets because Stephanie wouldn't let her anywhere else. And finally said, okay, like let's go move in over here. So now I call him my ghost daddy. Like instead of like a baby daddy, he's my ghost daddy because he has to take the kids.
But what is the point of a possessed doll? Like what?
So
fun.
Yeah, fun. I mean, who doesn't want to party with Stephanie at the Abbey? But I mean, dolls originally, one of the things that they were made for was a place for spirits to go to become basically spirit houses. And we see this from ways of people actually in certain traditions would have them made in the likeness of like their deceased children or deceased loved ones as a way of like, you now have a place on the earthly plane to still come visit us. We see them in poppets, voodoo dolls. It's like the more common term that people know it by. But those are just dolls that you can enchant either to be a representation of yourself, be a representation of someone else to do things with that way. And then it all just kind of went from there. So the point of them has kind of evolved over time. But it does make sense because a doll is something that all of us are familiar with. And a lot of times they're in human likeness to the point that it triggers our unconscious where sometimes they're kind of weird, right? And it triggers like this fight or flight response in us, which also means spiritually we're going to gravitate to that because it's something familiar. So as to why you keep them, I mean, because I have fun with mine. I mean, I've cleansed her. The spirit of Stephanie has been crossed over by multiple people. So I don't think she's stuck where she is. I think she chooses to come back.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think they do. People who think that the spirits are there all stuck. No, you could tell the ones that are stuck. They're like little zombie ones, and those are the ones you cross over, go to the light, whatever, and then they hang out because they can. Yeah, because if you were a disembodied spirit, you could probably go into anything. You can go into this water bottle, but why not go into something with eyes and ears and nose? Just like in Tradcliffe, we know with Griffin, they put their familiars not in their cap, but into a skull. So you have eyes and nose and mouth, and the faces do move. My Belle is porcelain as well, doesn't really move, but 3 people in a row will go angry, angry, angry today, happy, happy, happy today, and you can completely read it, the energy.
Absolutely. So I have a question for you. As a paranormal investigator that has experience not just with haunted locations, but haunted items, and you have your own haunted items, how do you feel about people that want to keep the ghosts stuck where they are, because it's like, well, I don't want to cross the spirit from my doll over because now I can say I have a haunted dollar. Well, if we got rid of the ghost, it wouldn't be a haunted bar, so I lose my shtick. Like, how do you feel about these things?
See, I don't think anybody, living, dead, deceased, any spirit of any sort should be forced to do anything. And you could still, like you said, have a haunted doll that hangs out because it wants to. I don't want anything. I also don't like negative haunted dolls, because there's something going on now with somebody who owns a famous house back east. I think that house is taken over and she's losing it. Very much so. Having a haunted doll is fun. I hear little pitter patters of the feet when we're all downstairs, and I hear it upstairs, and you could tell by how your animals act, and it's fun, and you have another kind of member of the family. But if it's a negative doll, it's not good. Like what was in my Belle beforehand, I don't want my hair to fall out, and they drain your energy and they make you sick. When Belle was first new, I'd keep rue in her hand, all these different herbs and things to keep her balanced until she got balanced. I don't see a good of having a negative, unless you're like Zach Bagans, or you run the Conjuring House or the Hinsdale, and people are paying you to come see dark, spooky spirits. But you've got to keep yourself really clean, or you lose it. Mm-hmm. Or you lose it.
Absolutely. Honestly, that's one thing. When I stopped doing paranormal investigations constantly, it was actually really nice, because I didn't realize that there's this level of anxiety that you live with that just becomes your norm, because you're constantly having to keep yourself protected, keep yourself clean. Then you notice something weird in your house, and then you're like, oh crap, is this going to affect my dog? Is it going to affect my partner? Like, these things that you have to think about, So it was kind of nice. And then I started getting back into it, and like the first panic attack that I had, so to speak, I'm like, oh, there it is. I remember this. This is my new spooky normal again. But yeah, it's a lot of a responsibility to keep yourself balanced, or else it can kind of take over. Speaking of you with paranormal investigations, and a lot of times I see teams and shows bring in psychic mediums, and that is definitely part of your repertoire. But you're also known as a witch, and that is something that you do bring to the table as far as paranormal investigations go. How often do you see yourself employing magic, and what kind of magic do you see yourself using with this?
I really do, and as much as they will let me, depending on the network and stuff. I have a network called Paraflix, which is the paranormal, and we have a show on there called Ghost Finders, and there's been a witch on that team. She's a medium, and there's other medium, but she's a witch. We open it up. We start with ritual. We start with permissions. We do, and it changes everything. The first time I worked with her, we felt like her name's Megan Deputy, and to get to work with them, I've done 2 episodes with them so far. It changes everything. When you go in with a magical intent, with spellcasting, with magic, and with ritual, you're going to get a whole different experience than a bunch of little techies going in with their K2 meters and, okay, ghost, okay, show me what you're doing. It's like, really? And when you come in with respect, hi, who is here? And this is who we are, and this is what we're here to do. So, again, depending on, the more freedom you have is when working with my YouTubers or working with my Paraflix people or whatever the network. But everybody's getting better. I've got a couple things in the can with Zach and the guys, and they let me be a little witchy.
That's great.
Yeah, they let me be a little witchy.
Have you ever encountered people tell you that you're not allowed to cross spirits over? If I'm
going to go to some crazy haunted place, I'm not going to go take away all their ghosts. I will talk to their ghosts. I will see whatever. Are you stuck here? Whatever. But I don't want somebody to lose their livelihood. And again, in most of those places, I sometimes worry, it's like, I wonder if there should be a department of ghost abuse. Like children abuse. It's like, I wonder, this place is oversaturated. I feel sorry for the spirits here. Are they stuck? And I'll just go away. I won't tell anybody. But it's like, you don't want to unhaunt a haunted house when that's their thing. But no, I've never. There's the rules at most of these places that you go to are like, you can't bring in a Ouija board. It's like, why? Okay, you can't do this, and you can't do. Okay.
I've been to places, so that's when I had my team, one of the number one rules is like, so what is your goal here? What do you want us to do? Do you want us to just confirm that there's something here? Do you want us to get rid of the spirit, teach you how to kind of contain things to keep things cohesive, like what's up? And a lot of times people said, no, I want to keep my ghost. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, as long as the spirit's okay with it and everyone's safe, there's the few times that I've seen other people try and go in and like get rid of spirits anyway after being told not to, it always ended very weird.
Yeah.
So it's just the power of permission is a very powerful thing, basically.
Very powerful. Power of permission. You need power of permission.
Mm-hmm.
And again, with clearings and stuff, it's like, again, if it's grandma hanging out, they want to keep grandma hanging out. But if it's something that's draining their energy and dark and negative, they don't. So
absolutely. Now, you brought up Ouija boards, which gives me a question for you. Have you ever played with a Ouija board,
Never
Alexander?
in my entire life.
How do you feel about them?
You know, because I was raised so Catholic, and Ouija boards just were like,
Hard no.
don't even talk about it, like nothing. You know, even tarot cards, you know, just never had anything. You know, because I've seen the movies and I've heard like spooky stories, you know, it scares me, and it's not something that I think I would want to have in my house.
So you believe in them. Well, do you think that being afraid of something means you have to believe in it?
No.
Okay.
No. Like, I'm afraid of monsters under my bed, but I don't think that there's monsters under my bed. Do you know what I mean?
There might be a ghost under your bed, though.
Maybe. Don't say that. But, you know, I'm mostly here, and I think, like, the assumption out there is that it's mostly a negative and a demonic thing. And that's just not, maybe you can talk about it, that's just not the case.
it is not the case. Hollywood did that. And
Yeah.
again, we're sitting in Hollywood. Hollywood did that because it's just like you watch the news at night. It's not the nice news. They walk the old lady across the street. It's the evil and who got killed. And so Hollywood's going to make scary Ouija movies and scary witches look bad and vampires look bad and Ouijas look bad. But I love it. People who are afraid of a Ouija board, but they'll pick up their pendulum or they'll pick up their dowsing. They're all the same. These are just tools to work with spirit. I've safely used a Ouija board since I was 7 or 8. Those first seances, my mom bought me Ouija boards. And I've never, the only issues I've ever had, and I've had some good ones, is because I dropped the ball or somebody got disrespectful. To me, the one rule is disrespect. But I don't think they should necessarily be just sold at toy stores for kids. I think they should have an opposite set of directions, more like this is not a toy. This is a communication device for spirit. Say what it is and how to use it. You don't want to just go anybody out there and then think they're going to be wisdom. Do you want anybody in your house? You want the serial killer next door to come in your house? Okay, only maybe good and light spirits or my ancestors or what spirits are in the house, spirits with positive intent. And again, I believe this is our realm of existence, and if we take that control, we are in control. Most people don't know that, so they give up control, and that's the people that get all whacked out. But my one crazy negative experience with a Ouija board was somebody got disrespectful. I was at a house. I live in the Hollywood Hills. It's an old 1920s neighborhood. It's beautiful. There's little Ryder cottages like mine, and then the big mansions. And this house looked like it was built by masons. So much sacred geometry, and literally there's a compass drawn in the floor in the front, and 12 of this and 12 and it was built by Charlie Chaplin for one of his many girlfriends, for Mary Astor. It was a crazy party house for years. And whenever anything's a crazy party house, lots of drugs, lots of alcohol, you can bring in some dark stuff. No judgment. So it was a crazy party house, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And then in the 60s, the Rolling Stones manager bought it, and the Stones stayed there, Mamas and Papas, Graham Parsons. So party house, crazy house, creative people, high vibration, creative people. And then they moved out, and then the person who invented the real life sex doll moved in. House got a little crazy for them, and then he moved out, and he said all this stuff. And then my neighbor, Marilyn Manson, moved in. And he recorded in the basement and did all this stuff. It actually eventually got too... And so this house had all this energy. Yeah. It wasn't demonic. I think demons get so much credit. Like 99% of people, it's demons. No, it's just a cranky-ass ghost. There's no... Cranky in life, cranky in death. What are you doing screaming at them? Of course they're going to get cranky. But anyway, and I had young people around the table. Don't you know that when you're past puberty but not too far into your 20s, you have so much life force? And that's why poltergeist stuff happens then. But I had a table full of those people, and I was doing a seance. We all knew what we were doing. It was a documentary called The Mary Astor House. But this one kid, maybe because on camera, and he was just a smart alecky kid, he kept getting disrespectful. It was a 4-camera shoot, so it was a pretty good. So I'm feeling this tension build, and I'm like, okay, got to keep it in line. I'm orchestrating this. I'm doing much more than anybody knows. I'm orchestrating this, but all of a sudden it just got so tense. The French doors flew open and everybody's screaming. And I go, wow. And the producer side of me is going, wow, that was pretty good. That was like, and I'd never fake anything, but and then the tension build, and that happened again. And I felt the spirit getting really angry. But this kid, I didn't keep him in line good enough. We're working with the ouija. We're working with everything. And then he said something else, and literally the speaker on the floor, like old school speakers, how big can they be versus how little they can they be? And it came on, it sounded just like a ghost bot, white noise. We looked later, it wasn't even plugged in, but everybody's screaming and looking at this thing. And I'm like, okay, this is so tense in here. I'm going to have to shut it, but we have to keep going. This is filming. We know what we're doing. Again, we're working with it. And he said something, I can't wait. He said something really stupid. And not him, but literally the cameraman facing him from across the table burst into flames.
What?
A V up his back like angel wings of fire. He was not standing in front of a fireplace or a candle. Spontaneous combustion like Spinal Tap. Everybody is screaming. 2 cameras caught it. One camera started filming the ceiling or the floor. You test the metal of a camera person by a small room with a lot of people breaking into flames. His poor camera, he's wondering why everybody's screaming and pointing at him as his back is in flames.
Oh my gosh.
His shirt burnt off him like it was a synthetic. It was cotton. It should not have went poof like a nylon or polyester. So all of a sudden, me, cool witch medium Patti, becomes medic Patti, of which I am. I'm EMT2, certified cardiology. I am all of that because you have to be. So I'm like, drop and roll. This is not okay. This does not happen. Cut this. This is not okay. No one bursts into flame. I'm like, oh my God. I'm watching all this blistering on his back. I'm like, this is not okay. This is not okay. But the cameraman, who was a super skeptic, who's like, oh my God. I'm okay. I have a sweater. I'll take this burnt shirt. I'm looking the blistering on his back. I'm okay. I talked to the spirit. He promised he'd sort of behave. The kid who caused it was no longer going to be a problem. He was like the choir boy in the corner now. Talked to the spirit. So we were able to finish it. More crazy stuff happened. Glasses. The most I've ever had, except for maybe what I just did with something that ever had. But the cool part of this, 3 weeks later, the cameraman, who now we're becoming friends, he's a filmmaker of his own right. He goes, Patti, look at my back. And where the scarring was on his back totally looked like he had got a tattoo of a dragon.
Oh my God.
Open mouth, sharp teeth, winged head, into the shape of a serpent. And I'm like, and that is the exact energy I called in to shut down the seance. That is what I protect my seances with. And I'm looking at him like, oh my God, you have a tramp stamp of a dragon on your back. And that is the coolest thing I have ever seen. And he thought so too. He was like so intrigued. He wrote a script actually kind of about me, about a big TV medium who does every show. He wrote it with Stephen Norrington, the guy who wrote League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and the Blade series. They haven't done it yet. Margot Robbie can play me, or no, I don't. But they haven't. But if they do it, but about this TV medium who does every TV show, and then a portal opens. It's called The Portal, and then it turns into one of those funny, scary horror movies that I love. But I did sit down with him, and this is something again because we're all in media, you guys. I sat down with him for 5 hours, and I go, Lauren, you can't say that in the movie, in the script. He's like, but you said that. I go, I know I said that. Those exact words and sounds open something. You don't want to be one of those cursed horror films, do you? It happens all the time. People don't know better. A spirit and energy, good, bad, or is not going to know the difference of an actor doing lines or somebody really doing it. So we change. I go, they'll sound as spooky or scary or magical, but they won't open a portal to hell. So if it ever does get out, we spent 5 hours going, do not say that. Let's say this instead.
I think that's a really important thing that you brought up. I've had plenty experiences where people from different sets and different TV shows have come into the store that I work at. They're like, well, we want to make sure that it's really authentic and we want to do this. And so they'll consult with us, which is great. But sometimes they're like playing with some really heavy hitting spirits. We're like, what do you want Papa Legbo running around your set for? What you going to do with that?
Yeah, what you going to do? Yeah.
You know, or different things like that. And they'll like, well, we want to just make sure that this is really authentic. So we want to actually invoke the deity while we're filming this. Like, why though? Why would you do that? So I think that's a really good point because I don't think those people love talking to me because I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, I'm not going to help you with that. I was like, I'd help them to a certain degree, but I'm like, that's about as far as we're going because you don't need your cameraman being set on fire.
You don't.
Which new fear unlocked, by the way. I've always been like really afraid of spontaneous combustion. I was really weird. As a little kid, I would like walk around with cups of water. I would try and like stick ice cubes in my pocket because apparently I wasn't a really smart kid. But yeah, I've always been really, really freaked out about it. I can see that picture of that person, like the smoldering shoes in my head, and it's just like always been a thing. So now you're saying that, I'm like, and I've always been very big about respect in seances, paranormal investigations and stuff, and been a hard ass about that. But now I'm like, no little punk ass is going to make me spontaneously combust. No.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe you spontaneous combusted in another life or burned by fire or something.
Maybe, because it was always a really weird thing that I realized translated later when I worked in the veterinary field and medical field. I get really weird around oxygen tanks too.
Wow.
That's so odd.
And I always hated that, and I always did surgery, so I was having to switch out the oxygen tanks on our anesthetic machines and things like that, and it always freaked me out. And it was finally someone pieced it together, like, well, it's because they'll blow up, so you're afraid of spontaneous combustion. So it all made sense. So yeah, maybe it's a past life thing.
Maybe it is. I was always my whole life, and I don't have weird fears about things. I'm kind of logical for this weird person, but I had this weird fear of railroad tracks and armored cars. And railroad tracks, like you go down, there haven't been a train on those tracks down Santa Monica in my lifetime. But I would just get the heebie-jeebies. And when I first started doing past life regression, I found out that I went back to like this Old West, and I think I died robbing like a Wells Fargo train or something. So then the fears pretty much went away. I just went away. Sometimes I get, ooh, but pretty much. So I go do a regression with yourself, and you figure out what it was, and you'll get over it.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I think I will do that. Do you have any weird, like, unexplainable fears like that?
I have, it's called altociliophobia, and it's a fear of open spaces. And it hit when I went to Europe. You go see all the cathedrals. I passed out in the Vatican because I could feel the open space like a weight. I'm not afraid of heights from up, but to see like high ceilings, even there's the airport, I forget which airport it is, but it has a really high ceiling. The Luxor in Vegas, I can't stay at that hotel because you go in and it's all open on the inside.
Fascinating.
And I faint. I literally faint.
Wow.
I just feel the pressure of this open space. Isn't that weird?
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that, but okay.
Yeah, it only affects a few people. Like I looked into it. I'm like, this has, and it's very rare, but it's a fear. It's a form of agoraphobia, but it's opposite.
Reverse.
It's the fear of open spaces.
Did you know that you had this when you passed out at the Vatican, or was that your first experience with it?
I knew that I had issues with high ceilings, and the first time was at Epcot when I was a little kid, and they had that ride, and each room, the ceiling would get higher and higher till you were in the dinosaur room, and then that's my first time that I got weirded out by that. So I knew I had that, but not to the point that I literally just passed out.
Wow. Yeah. That's a new one. All right, that's interesting. I wonder what kind of past life stuff that could be.
I don't know. This is interesting.
Patti, I want to know, and I know a lot of people ask you about your talking with deceased ones. Mm-hmm. In all your years and talking to so many people that have crossed over, what would you say are the biggest messages that deceased ones want to share, or their mission in coming to speak?
I think the biggest thing that I get is that we worry about the weird little things, like tell my grandma that I was sorry I was cranky on that last phone call, or I didn't make the funeral, or I should have visited you more when you're sick. They don't care. They look at the big picture, not you didn't have that last moment. They look at your lifetime together. It's literally like they have a higher perspective. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's up in the heavens looking down. It's not the little petty things that we hold on to. That's what I see. I think almost completely, unless there's some big not crossed over thing, dead people are fine. They're fine. They'd like not having a meat suit. They like all those. There's like 20,000 books of people who died, but they weren't allowed to cross over, and none of them wanted to come back. They were always forced to come back. They don't want to. So as a rule, I think not having to deal with time and space is great, and not having to have a little meat suit is great. But I do think they miss time and space. That's why doing mediumship, whether you're a seance or a gallery or just one-on-one, sitting there with your picture of grandma, they like it because it gives them a sense of time and space. Mm.
What do you recommend for people that have lost loved ones that are trying to make that connection and establish that connection? What would you recommend for them to do?
My best way to do it is we have to get out of our own way. It's that left logical brain that shuts it up. It's our right creative, intuitive, spiritual brain that where we're going to communicate. We communicate with our heart and that. And the best way that I do it, why I came up with my little dream school technique, is a glass of water, not plastic, but a glass of water by the side of your bed, open water, not sealed. Water is a conduit. We know that. Look at all the science. They're finding you say bad words, it changes the whole deal. I mean, water is magic. Water is just magic. You could have pain water, insomnia water, and all of it works better than drugs. But dream water, glass to heart, just say, okay, I want to get to talk to grandma. I want to talk to my deceased loved ones. Or it can be, what is the meaning of life or what outfit to wear tomorrow. What you're doing is giving the universe or spirits or whatever you believe in permission to download you and work with you while you're asleep, and that chatty, judgmental left brain isn't in the way. So it comes in dreams, or it comes in just downloads. And then I say grab a pencil in the morning. Set yourself, if you do the dream school, set your alarm for 10 minutes before you have to really get up. If you get up at 7, at 10 to 7, set the alarm. I have to get up. No, I don't have to give up. Okay, grandma, answer this, or give me clarity, focus, and direction for today. Go back to sleep. When your real alarm goes off in 10 minutes, guess what? You'll have that answer. You'll have clarity, focus, and direction. Again, grab a pencil, just commit to 2 minutes. And that's a really great way to start automatic writing. That's a really great way to just don't censor yourself. If you don't remember dreams, write, Patty's stupid. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Here's my shopping list. But you'll be surprised what comes out.
That's really exciting. Okay, and then the last question that I have for you, for everyone out there that's listening that wants to become a paranormal investigator, that wants to kind of dive more into the spiritual realm, what advice can you give all of the novices and people that are just starting out at home?
Number one, respect everything. Go in with it. Respect the locations. Respect the people who are running the locations. Always get permission. And again, go in there, energetic respect, and always don't dive in the deep end if you don't swim. Don't start out at the Conjuring House or whatever board. Start out with a local little haunted house that's there, and if you can, get with a group that's already working. If you don't have equipment yet, you don't need equipment. Get a little mag light, and a cat ball from the grocery store is going to do it. But if you can, find a local team. Almost every city on the planet has one now, to work with them, so you learn a little bit as you go.
I love that you just said the Lizzie Borden house.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually going at the end of September. I'm so excited.
Oh, I have never been.
I have weirdly been obsessed with Lizzie Borden since I was a little kid.
what's not to be obsessed? I mean, the story itself is unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I was just really fascinated with her as a little kid, and I at one point went to a private school, a Lutheran school, and in art class I painted this bloody axe.
You were Wednesday Addams.
Yeah, kinda. And I got in so much trouble. I don't think I got kicked out of school for that, but I think it was close. But my mom was very proud. She put it on the fridge. Because why not? Yeah. So it's this lifelong dream. So you say that, and I feel that was a message for me. I need to be a little careful and go in with protection when I do go. Yeah. Don't go just super excited and la la la.
Yeah, and to me, just remember again, set your intention, set your boundaries, set everything. And to me, we want this open. We want our third eye open. We want our heart. But back here, to me, the biggest portal on our body is right where the head and neck come together. That's why if you pray, whoever you pray to, you bow your head to open that up for spirit. Unless you want to do some mediumship, close that down. Open this up, close that down. Use some oil if you have protective oil or olive oil or just your finger, because that's how they're going to get in.
That's really good advice. Thank you so much. You are just such a fascinating person, and you do so many wonderful spooky things, and I just love it. What you just said that you have a new book that's going to be coming out soon. What can people expect from you? Where can they find you?
PattiNegri.com, and then you could get to. I have a huge YouTube. I love to teach. I you can get to my school. Very crazy affordable. I have 20 teachers, all different paths. We don't say this is the truth. This is a truth, or this is my truth. The craft, psychic development, mediumship, paranormal leaders, and teaching it. I have a Catholic priest exorcist, I have a werewolf, a lot of vampirism, a lot of witchcraft.
Did you say werewolf?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
We have a
All
werewolf.
right.
His name is Denny. He's actually a professor at Washington State University. Werewolf magic. It's a magical pagan path where, you howl at the moon. But I have a bunch of fake me's on social media, so you can get to all the real me's from pattinegri.com. My old world magic for the modern world you can get to on Amazon from my website. My coming book will be Llewellyn Everywhere. I have a new book that just launched last month on intuition, but it's a group book, but it's Women Gone Wild. I'm a woman, intuition edition, but it was beautiful. They brought 20 women from all over the world, different, not all spiritual or magical. It was medical doctors and CEOs and Fortune 500s. Our perceptions on intuition. It's this beautiful, inspiring book, Women Gone Wild, and you can get that everywhere from Target to whatever. So I have my podcast called The Witching Hour, new ones every Monday, everywhere you get podcasts in audio and in video on my network, Paraflix, and my YouTube page, and bathroom walls across America.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Please join us, get involved with us. You can go to queerfromtheotherside.com and get involved. We have a blog, we have a TikTok, we have YouTube, Instagram, all the things. Go check us out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and review us if you can. We love you. Thank you. Stay spooky, and we'll see you next time. Bye. That was another episode of Queer from the Other Side.
Please like, share, review, and subscribe.
Until next time, stay curious.